Hey everyone, today we're going to discuss about compound interest. Now, a compound interest is an interest calculated on the initial principal and also on the accumulated interest on previous period of a deposit or loan. It is also called an interest on interest. Previously, in our simple interest, we only use the principal for the computation of our interest and our maturity value. Now, for the compound interest, the principal would earn an interest. It would increase, diba, because of the interest. And on the next count, in the next year, we also include that interest from the previous year to earn an interest. So basically, on a compound interest, the interest also earns some interest. So it is being compounded and the money grows much quicker than on a simple interest. Now, for the formula of the maturity value of a compound interest, we still use the A equals P plus I. So that is principal plus interest. However, we have a different way in computing for the interest and the principal. So this would be A is equal to P times 1 plus, this is 1, plus R over K raised to K times T. A here is the maturity value. P is the principal or present value. R is the rate of interest. Time is T. And K is the period. The R over K is called the compounding rate. Now, the K is the period here. So, the period is the interval for compounding. We use specific terms to indicate the interval for compounding. We have 4. The first one is annual. When we say annual, the compounding is done every year, and the value of K is equal to 1. The second is semi-annual. The compoundment is done every 6 months, and the K there is equal to 2. Why is it 2? Because there are 2 compoundments in 1 year. For quarterly, the compoundment is done every 3 months. K is equal to 4 because there will be 4 compoundments in 1 year. So 3, 6, 9, 12. And for the last one, it's monthly. The compoundment is done every month. So K is equal to 12 there because there will be 12 compoundments in 1 year. So let us have an example here. Let's say this problem. What's the maturity value of 100,000 pesos invested in 3% compounded annually for 3 years? So let's identify first the parts there. So the thing that we know first is that we have 100,000 that's invested. So our principal would be 100,000. So that's our money. And the rate, it is invested at 3%. And 3% is equivalent to 0.03. And it is compounded for 3 years. And the period is annual. It's compounded annually for 3 years. So K is equal to 1. So we'd like to know what is the maturity value. So how much will our money be after 3 years, after the compoundment? So let's use the formula. So the formula would be A is equal to P times 1 plus R over K raised to KT. So the maturity value would be A is equal to P is 100,000 times 1 plus R is 0.03 divided by the K is 1 raised to K is also 1 times time is 3. So let's simplify. A, let's adjust it here. A is equal to 100,000 times 0.03 divided by 1 is still 0.03 plus 1, that would be 1.03 raised to 1 times 3 is 3. So let's compute for that using our calculator. The value is 109,272 pesos and 70 centavos. So this will be our money after 3 years when invested in a 3% compounded annually account that is compounded annually for 3%. So that's the maturity value. We also have what we call the present value for compound interest. This time we reverse it. We are given with the maturity value, we'd like to know the present value. So the present value is P is equal to A over 1 plus R over K raised to KT. So that's our formula. Again, P is our principal or present value, A is our maturity value, R is the rate, T is time, and K is the period. Let's have an example. Let's say that there is a certain amount that is invested at 2.5% compounded semi-annually for 5 years. After 5 years, the amount is now 1 million pesos. How much was invested originally? So let's identify our variables there. So the maturity value, after 5 years, it was said to be 1 million pesos. And the rate is 2.5%, or it's equivalent to 0.025. And the time is 5 years. Also, remember that the period is done semi-annually. So the period is 2. So it is compounded semi-annually. It means that there are 2 compoundments in 1 year. So let's substitute those values in our formula here. So P is equal to 1 million all over 1 plus the rate is 0.025 over K is 2 raised to 2 times 5. Take note that we have to be very specific on the period that we're going to have because it affects our answer a lot. So let's have our formula here. This will be 1 million all over, let's compute 0.025 divided by 2. The value is 0.0125 plus 1, so that will be 1.0125 raised to 2 times 5, that's equal to 10. Let's compute for that. So 1 million over, let's compute 1.0125 raised to 10. The value is 1.1323. It's technically 1.1322708 something something something. So let's just stop at 4 decimal places since in our original answer here there's only 4 decimal places. Okay. So let's just match how many decimal places are there in the previous one whenever we're presented with a number that doesn't end. Okay. So let's divide 1 million divided by 1.1323. So the answer is 883,158 pesos, 0.17. So this means that the amount that is invested is 883,158 pesos and 17 centavos. Take note that we rounded off this denominator here. If we did not round it off, the number would have changed, but not that big. Okay, so we have to invest this in order to get 1 million in the next 5 years. So that's everything about compound interest. I hope you guys learned a lot today. Thank you guys for watching and see you guys on the next video.